Hello, I figured we'd tackle this one right off the bat and get it out of the way before I do any others, because this is going to be a big one. Yoko Ono. Now in the Beatle world, the word Yoko Ono could be a lot of different things. Some people love her, some people hate her, some people have no opinion about her. And just saying Yoko Ono is a big topic in itself. It really is. It really shouldn't be, but it is. It's a big topic in itself. There's a lot of controversy, unnecessary controversy in my opinion, and I'll get to that. But did she break up the Beatles? Did she have a spell on John? Oh, I don't like the way she sings. Oh, this, that. I'm going to tell you my opinion of Yoko Ono right off the bat. And to show you where I stand on Yoko Ono, this is a copy of her album Fly in pristine condition. And this is the gatefold sleeve. And yes, I play this. I think it's actually her best solo album. And the great thing about her solo albums at the time after the Beatles broke up in conjunction with John's is the fact that each one was a counterpoint to John's. Her Plastic Ono Band album is the counterpoint to John's. Fly is the counterpoint to Imagine. It even has the same font right there as the Imagine cover. Now, there's going to be a lot of comments here about this. Please keep your comments professional if you comment on this. I can see why people can get upset with Yoko. There's a couple things that I'm not a fan of, but I don't think Yoko needs to be beat up for the way that she has been. Was she there at the time the Beatles broke up? Yes. Did she cause the Beatles to break up? Maybe in a sense that John wanted her there all the time. Let's keep in mind, John wanted her there. John wanted her there. Not Yoko. John wanted her there. But Paul also wanted Linda at the sessions as well, too. And Linda tends to get a free pass nowadays. Oh, but Linda didn't stay there the entire time. Oh, but Linda was taking photos. But Linda was not the Beatles' personal photographer. And Linda was there in the control booth with Paul as well when they were listening to songs. Oh, and Yoko sang on their tracks. Oh, and Yoko did this. Well, so did Linda cover the high harmony part on Let It Be. But she's now considered a hero for that. Now, I'm not trying to rag on Linda, but what I'm trying to talk about is there's this massive double standard in the Beatles world when it comes to Linda and Yoko. And even when it comes to Paul and John. And these double standards, I don't like. If we're going to hold one person accountable for one thing, if the same person did the same thing, we need to be holding that person accountable as well. Now, that does not mean I don't love those guys any less. I do. What it means to me is that they're human. And I want my heroes to be human. Now, John met Yoko. We all know the story. But let's talk about Yoko as an artist. I respect her as an artist. I love the things that she does. She was a trendsetter. What she was doing in the 60s, she had a following, a sort of an underground following, which is where she wanted to be. She was known in the underground art world. She was friends with John Cage. She was friends with jazz great Sonny Rollins. She knew these people, and she was friends with a lot of the people that were on the sort of outside of the mainstream, but the mainstream was actually looking at them. And a lot of the things that she did, her performance pieces, like Cut Piece, which is a famous one, where she sat on stage and she invited people to come and cut her clothes off. Well, there is a point to it, and the point concerns vulnerability. But what she was doing was stuff that was eventually going to become popular on the Lower East Side of New York in the late 70s and 80s, with people like Laurie Anderson. And the multimedia stuff that she did, I could see a lot of that in David Byrne's stuff with the Talking Head. So a lot of what she did, she was the first to do it. She was a trendsetter. Talk about her screaming when she sings. I think her Plastic Ono Band album has a lot of emotion in it because of the screaming. It covers the same ground that John's did. I sense a lot of pain in hers because she's really screaming from the heart when she screams, "Why?" And yes, she has written some good pop songs too. I urge you to listen to Death of Samantha from Approximate Infinite Universe. Now, there's some things about Yoko that I don't like? Yes. I really am not a fan of the way she's been dealing with John's estate lately, with the way his name has been out there. But at the same time, she's keeping his name out there, and she's keeping his name out there as an innovator, so it's kind of a two-edged sword there. Did she break up the Beatles? I keep hearing that from people still. And the breakup of the Beatles is another controversial topic that we can talk about. That's another one that we can talk about. No, she didn't break up the Beatles. I never felt Yoko broke up the Beatles. No more than Linda broke up the Beatles. No more than Alan Klein broke up the Beatles. No more than Apple broke up the Beatles. The Beatles were going to break up. And I'm just going to touch on this now. That's going to be another topic. But the Beatles were going to break up. If there was one person who could have possibly held the Beatles together, it would have been Brian Epstein. A lot of things conspired to break up the Beatles. Let's face it, John wanted out, and maybe he used Yoko as his excuse to get out. But when he made that statement to the others, Yoko has even said in interviews, and I trust Yoko because she's been consistent on what she has said. I was shocked she said she was shocked as everybody else. She thought that once the Beatles broke up, she was going to do her thing and John was going to branch out and do his thing. But no, John wanted her as his artistic partner. So you really can't blame Yoko when she was coming to the sessions and John was asking her opinion on a Beatles song. John not only was in love with Yoko, he wanted Yoko as his artistic partner. So you can't blame Yoko for her expressing her opinion on something that John asked her about. If one thing, you could blame John for that. I mean, everybody had said that when Yoko got there, the first couple sessions, she was totally quiet and stayed out of the way. Jeff Emmerich even talked about that in his book. It was only when they sat in the session, and Jeff Emmerich's book is another topic as well. When she was asked her opinion about something, about what she thought about Revolution 1, that's when she said it, and everybody was like, oh, she spoke. John asked her to speak. You know, if my wife was there, I would expect her to say something too. If your wife was at the session too, I'm sure you'd want your wife to say something too. That's the whole thing that people need to understand, is that it was John who wanted Yoko as his artistic collaborator. I think Yoko caught a lot of flack on her side of the fence. A lot of people thought that she sold out by going with a commercial artist in John and collaborating with a commercial artist and even marrying her. They accused her of selling out. So John got flack on his end from his fans and whatnot. Yoko got some flack on her ends from the members of the Fluxus movement in New York. Look it up. So I don't rag on Yoko that much. I really don't rag on her. I'm a fan of Yoko. I'm a fan of her avant-garde films, the films that her and John collaborated on. I would like for them to put a Blu-ray, a DVD together of those films, of Self-Portrait, of Apotheosis, of Rape, of Fly. There's a number of them because I think they're pretty interesting. Now, Two Virgins, Life with the Lions, The Wedding Album, I'm not a fan of those, but I'm a fan of Revolution 9. Revolution 9's got a structure to it. Revolution 9 has a motif to it that keeps coming back. And Revolution 9 did have George Martin looking over the proceedings. Say what you want about Yoko. She's a strong woman, and everything that she's trying to do is for the good of peace and love. I never thought that there was anything contrived in anything Yoko did at all, unlike what people think. And I just can't believe that people haven't moved on from picking on Yoko and blaming Yoko for things, or even writing nasty comments about Yoko. John loved her. She technically saved John's life. She got him out of the acid haze he was in. Of course, he got into heroin after that, but they both kicked it cold turkey together. So I think we should just offer a bit more respect to Yoko than what we do. So please keep your comments gentle and professional and polite. We don't have to agree on this. That's the great thing about this. We do not have to agree on every topic concerning the Beatles. But if we're going to have discussions, let them be polite discussions. Now, I'm going to enjoy Yoko Ono's Fly and listen to Don't Count the Waves. See you on the next one.